Hey everybody, it's Hannah. I just wanted to give you all a heads up that something happened with our audio this week and the sound quality just isn't what it usually is. We apologize, but with all of that being said, we hope you can still enjoy this week's episode.
Hi, Hannah. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. And I can welcome you to episode 12.
Yay, episode 12.
Look at that, 12. I honestly didn't think we'd get here sometimes. But at the same time, we just keep proving myself wrong.
I mean, yeah, we're doing the damn thing.
We're literally doing it.
So okay. I have something mildly unhinged in my bag.
I'm a little concerned. She comes into my house today, literally 5 minutes ago, and she goes, I have something mildly unhinged in my bag to show you.
So it's maybe not as unhinged considering it's me, but
I feel like this is going to be, whatever it's going to be right on point with you. And I don't know how I feel about this because
I just need you to close your eyes for a second.
Okay, they're closed. There's a lot of moving pieces to this. If this is a goddamn doll, I'm going to be so upset.
No. All right, open your eyes.
I'm just going to move the mic just a little bit away from me.
I don't think it's necessary, but
no? Okay.
No.
Oh my God, Hannah.
Would you like some amethyst?
Yes, I love amethyst.
This is a fraction of what I have.
A fraction.
I have pieces that are...
Okay, let me just describe what Hannah has here. She has so you know those little containers you get at Cub that have peanuts and trail mix in them? She has 2 full containers of amethyst in them.
This is only a fraction of what I have, and I have some pieces that are easily 10 times the size of these smaller ones.
I want a big piece.
I have a whole box of rocks in my car that I'm going to show you when we're done.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
And again, that box in there is not even a fraction of what I have.
Oh my God. So I gotta ask, how did you come into the surplus of amethyst?
So one of my parents' friends, their mother passed away and she collected rocks and she would tumble rocks. So my parents bought a bunch of rocks.
Oh, is this what you picked up? Is this what?
Yeah, this is what we were going to pick up. Yeah,
okay.
They got me a bunch of rocks and this really nice huge tumbler. And so
You're
Christian
gonna tumble these?
Not all of those.
No, I'm excited because some of these look like they'll have some really pretty deep purples.
Yeah, but I will definitely tumble some of them. Like I said, this is a fraction of the amethyst I have.
Oh my God. This is beautiful.
So
I'm surprised this didn't roll around and shake in your bag when you're walking past me.
There was so much stuff in my bag that I think it held it still.
Okay.
They just barely fit in there. I was in my car and I was like, can I fit these in my bag so he doesn't have to see them?
It's kind of like the time when I snuck alcohol into my friend's dorm room. Just wrap them up.
But yeah, so we've got lots of amethyst.
I love amethyst. I love the feeling amethyst gives from it. It has a good energy.
And I think in the box that's in my car, I think there's a bunch of tumbled jet. I spotted a couple of Botswana agates. There's definitely some
Botswana. It's a fun
regular old Lake Superior agates. There's so many rocks. I couldn't even tell you all the different kinds of rocks because some of them I haven't seen tumbled before, so I don't know. Or I just they look very similar to other stones. So again, I don't know. I'm a little overwhelmed.
I can imagine.
I don't know how I'm going to, 1, sort through all of these rocks and price them, and then 2, sell them. There's so many.
Yeah, you're going to have to sell them.
I literally have enough that I could probably sell some to some local shops.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah. So yeah, before I leave, you're going to come down to my car and you're going to see all the fucking rocks I have in there.
Absolutely. I won't be able to go to bed until I see this.
I mean, I'm very appreciative that my parents got this for me. They didn't tell me, I don't even know if they knew exactly how many rocks were in the home.
They're just we'll take those.
Yeah, because they kind of did an estate sale thing at her house. And so,
Right there.
When Christian and I went, he was like, all right, there's these 2 boxes here, and then there's some more downstairs. So Christian followed him downstairs, and we're thinking there's, like, boxes downstairs. Mm-hmm. I bring 1 box out to the car, and Christian comes out, and he's like, you need to come down here. Oh, shelves. Shelves and shelves full of rocks, containers of rocks, tumbled, not tumbled. Like, they used to travel all over the U.S. and go get them. I'd be willing to bet that some of this amethyst is from Canada. There used to be a mine just north of the border in, I think, Thunder Bay that you could go and just get, like, pails of amethyst at.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so...
Like...
If anybody needs any amethyst, hit a girl up.
Hannah Grave at Hannah Grave on Instagram.
Yeah, Hannah.grave.
Hannah.grave.
Yeah.
Hannah.grave.
So yeah, I mean, now I don't have to worry about what I'm going to bring with for the gift bags when I go to these tarot shows, or not tarot shows, I shouldn't call them that. They're like metaphysical and like wellness fairs. Mm-hmm. But they usually ask that you bring 30 of something for gift bags for the first 30 people through the door. I don't got to worry about that anymore.
Perfect.
I do have a bag of just assorted tumbled stones that I bought a while ago, and like a lot of them. And I think those ones are mostly serpentine. It looks like a lot of them are serpentine. But anyway, that's what I was using, and not worried no more.
Nope.
I also found an amethyst seer stone in the middle of all of those. So a seer stone is like, they're usually tumbled, but only one flat side of them is polished, meant to be like a window for you to like gaze into. And yeah, and I have a rose quartz one, but I've been wanting an amethyst one. But you don't usually just find them in like any store that you go to, at least not around here. And sometimes it can be tricky to find them. If you know where to look, you can find them. But I've been wanting an amethyst one, and I saw that, and I was like, no fucking way. I was so excited.
Face probably just lit up.
Yeah. I was like, Kristen, do you know what this is? And he was like, amethyst?
It's the best. I can see the confused, dumb look on his face right now. They're awesome.
My head is reeling because there's so many, and I'm going to have to sort through them because a lot of them are just like thrown into a box, or like they're in jars or whatever, and they're not like... The only ones that I could see that were like specifically really organized were the amethyst.
Oh. So, okay, that's why you're going to have to go through everything.
Yeah, that's why I have to go through everything, yes.
Okay, because when you brought them like this, I'm like, oh, so they must have been like at least categorized in some way.
I mean, they have
amethyst?
It's amethyst.
Weird, it looks almost like quartz.
Well, amethyst is a type of quartz,
that would
and
make sense.
The colors can vary from an incredibly pale purple to some like bits of white to the deeper stuff.
This has yellow in it, unless that's just the discoloration from being...
It could just be like the natural coloration because it's raw. These are all raw amethyst that I have here right now. There's some tumbled pieces that I have in the mini boxes, but the ones that I have sitting in front of Austin right now are all raw amethyst.
They got chisel marks on them. Mm-hmm. They are... I like this one a lot.
That's a good one. As he throws it across the room.
No.
Did you break it? Oh, did you break your phone?
I got a chip in my brand new phone.
Do you have a screen protector on there yet?
No.
Oh no!
The Rock doesn't like me.
Well, I wouldn't say that. It would help if you had not dropped the pointy side down on top of your phone.
Now I gotta see how much a screen replacement is. Fuck.
Your phone company's gonna be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I did drop that.
The like particularly pointy end.
And I don't even know how I did it. It just
puts it back with all the other rocks.
I'm putting it back because I get bad vibes now. So, okay.
Well, I'll let you pick another piece of amethyst at some point.
Yes, please.
I do have to cleanse everything too.
That might be why it's like, hey, put me back, bitch.
Yeah, I was gonna bring one of the bigger pieces up here to keep in the studio, but I was like, I want to like go through everything and like cleanse everything like all at once, really good. So, yeah, we got rocks and we got stories.
Rocks and stories for days, my dudes. and dudettes.
So we did something a little different again this week.
A little different.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be covering a true crime story because my friend Anne suggested this one. And I felt like if my friend suggested it, then...
Gotta do it.
Then I should do it.
You
so
gotta do it. Yeah. I agree. And I will
And she grew up very close to this particular true crime, which is why she knows about it and everything. So yeah.
And I will be covering the paranormal today.
Woohoo!
I think Hannah's really going to like this one.
Good, because we need something to offset mine.
I guess we'll see about that then.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
I mean, yeah, we'll just see.
We'll see.
You will be the judge of that.
Where's the quarter?
That's a really...
I found it. It's right down here.
Ash had it, and then she didn't, and then she did. And
Do you want to toss it, or should I?
I'll toss it this time. We'll do that. Every other week we toss it.
Okay, yeah.
Or
We'll switch off each week.
we switch up. Yeah, that's what I meant. And so...
You are heads.
I am heads. I thought I was tails. No, you are tails because it landed on tails. Mm-hmm. That's right.
See if you can will it to land on heads.
I win. Finally. It only took 12 episodes to legitly go first.
I think one time you got it when we flipped the coin, and then we did those two where we chose that you were going to go first because your stories were so dark.
Did I?
I think so. All right, well then, take us away, Austin.
I am taking you to the land of shadow people today.
No way!
Right?
I was thinking about covering this, but I was like, daunting. I've seen a lot of shadow people.
Same. And so we're gonna get into it. So I'm not gonna let it taint because I have kind of like a little bit of both.
Yeah, stuff with shadow people can be
unbiased.
Dark. Yeah,
a bit. And we will. Yeah, so I kind of did a little bit more unbiased and just like stuck to the facts more.
Okay.
And I go into a particular shadow person, and let me tell you, it's interesting. Like,
I think I know what shadow person you're going to go into.
You probably know because I think we've talked about both seeing him before. So just keep that under wraps until we get to that part.
Absolutely.
Because we will definitely have loads to talk about. So for those of you who are unfamiliar what a shadow person is, it's usually defined as a supernatural, shadow-like humanoid figure. More often than not, you will not be able to make out any details on these shadow-like figures, but are usually described as being blacker than night, and you can usually see a very clear outline, very detailed from anything else around it. Sometimes they'll be also seen as a ball or a fluttering blanket going across usually a wall, because you really can't, because they're almost two-dimensional. You really can't, like... Are they on the wall or are they...
They're shadows.
Yeah, they're shadows. And are more often than not seen out of peripheral vision as well. You will generally never see them directly head on. I mean, that's why I use the word sometimes.
Yeah.
Most accounts of shadow people are seen in corners of dark rooms, but as soon as you look in the direction where you saw this shadow, you will see nothing. Shadow people are very harmless and usually are just hanging around. And shadow people actually have been reported all over the world. There are many legends and folklore from other cultures depicting these humanoid figures. Hannah has a question.
I do. I find it interesting that you say that they're considered to be harmless. I mostly consider them to be harmless myself, but I know that there is a large chunk of people out there that believe that they are evil.
Yep.
Because of things that have happened when the shadow people have been around or after shadow people have been around.
Oh, yep.
But I just wanted to throw that out there. There are people who believe that there's some sort of malevolence to them. I think there are some people that also believe that it can go either way. It just depends on the spirit. But, yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to get into that, too.
I'm so sorry.
You're good. I know. And that's why I was like, I know Hannah's really going to like this because she's going to have so much to add into this as well. Yeah. Because there's a lot that I didn't, because there's literally so much on shadow people that you can't cover it all. And that's why I felt like sticking to more of the facts of shadow people with diving into more what a particular one is and what they are capable of doing as well.
Absolutely.
We'll also go into what we think a shadow person truly is as well. And so that'll be coming at the end there. We're going to have a nice big discussion on that. I'm really excited.
Okay.
So yeah, as Hannah pointed out, they are not necessarily always not harmless, but they can have they can be physical as well. But like I said, I will be getting more into that in a little bit with paranormal investigator accounts and other individual accounts as well. So these are, and also I said they are depicted from other parts of the world. There are legends and other folklore from other cultures depicting these humanoid figures. And other parts of the world, they're called jinns, actually.
Oh, I've heard that.
Muslim faith believes these are invisible spirits, but will take on the form of humans and or animals. And they are generally here to inhabit the earth and influence mankind, usually through a religious aspect, is what Muslims and a lot of more Asian cultures believe that jinns do. Some paranormal investigators believe that shadow people are just a type of ghost sighting. So what makes paranormal investigators believe that shadow people could be a type of ghost or just a ghost sighting? Because sometimes, like Hannah mentioned, you will see a shadow person in full view, just looking at you. Sometimes they will actually knock things over. And some investigators believe they are demons watching. And we'll get more into why they believe they're a type of demon as well. Because also sometimes shadow people will touch you. And sometimes they're seen just walking right past investigators like they're not even there. Like they're just hanging about like, hey, what's up, guys? Like not a care in the world.
Yeah, which then gets into, like, do they also fall under residual hauntings and everything? But like you said, we're going to talk about this later. I have so many thoughts in my brain, and I'm trying to save them for that discussion.
I mean, we can go on the tangents and everything.
For my sake. In editing.
Okay.
We'll
save it for the end.
Obviously, like, we need tangents for Tangent Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, wow. We have gotten on so many tangents that absolutely none of you know about.
Yeah.
At this point, in like the last 2 episodes specifically.
There's probably enough content for...
I'm proud of how well I stitched things together.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and continue.
So, like I previously mentioned, are there good and bad shadow people? There are many stories of both. Some eyewitness accounts of good shadow people. They have been seen just standing there like a giant sticker on the wall, like one person claimed. So, okay.
I can attest to that.
Very motionless. Some will actually interact with you. One person claims that he waved to the shadow person, and the shadow person waved back.
Absolutely not.
I don't know. It's like if I have that...
I don't know what's going to be more scary, it not doing anything or it consciously waving back. Or is it mirroring me?
Right, or is it mirroring? So it's like, and those are some of the questions we're gonna be asking and answering.
I feel like I'm, even as a medium, I'm not comfortable with a lot of the options when encountering ghosts.
I think that just comes with time.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly does get a little bit better, but I still get wigged out very easily.
I know you're a bit of a scaredy cat. Could barely go through the own haunt you worked at.
By the time I was working there, I could get through it, but yeah.
But even before.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Some just even coexist with you, sometimes just like a ghost. So they'll just go about wandering the halls, going through doorways, walking through walls. Some have been seen to, like, I don't know, cockroach their way up into a corner and, like, like way. That's the only way I can explain it.
No, thank you.
It's like they're going underneath in the tiniest little pinhole.
Makes me think of the creeper at Waverly Hills, where he just like walks out, drops to the floor, and like scurries at you.
Hey, no thanks. No thanks.
Apparently, he's been seen like scurrying on the walls and the ceilings and stuff.
I
Yeah,
don't like that word. A humanoid thing scurrying.
just like on all fours, like.
Eh. Some paranormal investigators believe shadow people are on a mission to help guide those who need it. Kind of like a dark form of a guardian angel. Like, that's what I was kind of thinking.
Okay, I have thoughts. Go ahead.
Yep. But I will say there is really no accounts of, like, how they would help you. But some just have that belief that they're, like, there being, like, a kind of like a divine intervention, just kind of nudging you like a guardian angel, but just you can physically see it.
Again, lots of thoughts.
I know.
I could say so much on that.
So, like I said, gonna go in the good and the bad. So, let's go into the bad. Some claims have reported seeing them as very menacing, scary, creepy, and just have an overall feeling that they're filled with evil. And mind you, you cannot see any expression, facial features. They're very featureless. Like I said, they are a shadow with an outline, so you can accurately see where they're at with everything else on the wall.
Like, think of what your physical shadow looks like on like the pavement, but it's that, but like standing up.
And it has almost a physical border. Like the border is very cut.
And I've even seen them have their own shadows on the floor on top of that.
Oh yeah, it's like in the moonlight. Mm-hmm. That's creepy.
I've got a very specific story about the first time I saw one that I'll save for later. But
yeah, save it till the end of this one, because that's going to be a good one when we're in the Q&A.
Yeah.
One investigator said she had this feeling of dread and looked over, and there was just a shadow person staring directly at her. You know how menacing that's got to be to like see something that is faceless, but you just know it's looking at you? Mm-hmm. But even with reports of the good and bad, it's more of just an overall feeling that you get when you encounter a shadow person. There's really no accurate way to describe it.
I mean, almost anytime I see a ghost, my stomach drops. Mm-hmm. Whether they're good or bad or neutral.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Because it's still almost unexplainable.
It's unexpected. It can be unexplainable depending on your beliefs.
Right.
And then again, it almost has that like uncanny valley thing where it's a humanoid thing. You can see that it's a humanoid thing, but it doesn't look human. So.
But why that would go into some psychology. Why are we always like creeped out by humanoid objects?
That in and of itself is a whole topic of like, why do we have uncanny valley? Why does something that looks so human that it doesn't look human scare us?
Like mannequins. Like, I don't know about you, mannequins creep me out.
There's like a specific mask that there's a picture online that gives very uncanny valley things. But then we can also get into the topic of like unmasked neurodivergence, when they are just completely zoned out, they're not masking at all. And I've heard stories of like when people were kids, their parents would just randomly tell them to get up and go to their room and they realized as an adult it was because they were watching TV and they were completely unmasked and like just staring zoned out, and it was creeping their parents out.
Oh.
Because it gives that like, we know this is our child, but it doesn't look like our child.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if there's like video accounts of that, because I would be really interested to see that.
I've always wondered when I'm like zoned out or dissociating if I do look that way, and I got very conscious of where I was staring when I like kind of zoned out because of it, and I don't think I actually want to know the answer.
I mean, anytime I've seen you zone out or anything, it's more just of a you just woke up look face.
Okay, I'll take that. Anyway.
So with their good and bad, there is one particular shadow person that has many accounts and has been given a name. That man goes by the Hat Man.
The Hat Man.
Yep, Hannah knew it. So the Hat Man is said to be a shadow person with a much bolder outline than a I guess what you could consider a regular shadow person.
It's very distinct. And,
Distinct is a really good word.
Very, definitely like one of those ones you would describe as like almost blacker than black.
Yeah, like it's that new Vanta black.
Yeah.
That absorbs like 99% of all light.
Yeah.
God, yeah, exactly.
He's very bold and his lines are precise. There's no like mistiness to him or anything like that. It's just a very solid figure.
I guess you could also almost say it's like picture somebody wearing a Vanta black morph suit standing against a wall almost.
And then with a hat.
With a hat. And I'll go into what he's been seen in as well here. So yeah, he has always been seen wearing a hat, and it's usually the same one. It's a top hat. But sometimes the Hat Man is seen with different clothes and different hats from different periods of time. But more often than not, he is seen in more old-timey clothes. So like think long trench coats and capes, and usually a different hat. Some people have claimed to see him always with the top hat. Some say a fedora. And some others say a cowboy hat, which I actually have not heard of until I found this one interesting piece of article.
Okay.
I read more into why, or not necessarily why, but like it's regional. So like people who see the Hat Man, like in the South, will see more of a cowboy. We'll see a cowboy hat.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like it just depends on your perception because, like, the main hat I've seen him depicted as could easily be called a cowboy hat, a fedora, but it's like one of those like think like an old like 20s detective or like the gangster hats.
Oh yeah.
Like it's got a wider brim, but it's not necessarily super tall, and it's got like the scoop at the top.
Yep. That would be more like a 50s like detective vibe.
Oh, 50s detective? Okay, 50s detective then.
Because I think more like detectives and police back in the 20s still wore those like bowl-shaped hats.
But I'm thinking like the gangster hats, like the mobsters would wear.
Oh yeah, like what Al Capone would wear.
Yeah.
Was what would be accurately depicted as.
Yeah. Just, like a schnazzy hat.
Schnazzy. He's got to be schnazzy, man. Everyone sees him as faceless and featureless, just like any other shadow person. But some have seen him with piercing red eyes. And that's where some investigators think that might be demonic.
And I've never seen them personally with eyes. I've never been able to see eyes. I've never been able to see clothes. No, and I would say same. The most I've ever seen, it's more like the ones I've seen are more, I guess you kind of say Jack Skellington-like. They're very long and lanky. Yeah, the ones that I've seen, they're tall and they have very broad shoulders. And it's... Is that like your next bullet point? You're medium. Sorry. Because I was about to go, some say he stands at about 6 foot tall, where others say he's closer between 8 and 10 feet tall. Yeah, because like thinking about, without actually getting into the story, thinking about how tall he was when I saw him in high school in my room, I thought he was like a normal sized somebody standing on the edge of my bed, and that's why he was so tall. But now knowing what I know, I realize that likely that's not it. Like he's just tall. He's very tall, very broad shouldered. Like think a mobster from the 1950s, just a really tall, big mobster, like Bruno. So in smaller rooms, and him being that size forces him to a crouching position. Gross. Like, could you imagine looking off into the corner and just see this 10-foot man like crouching? Absolutely not. And just staring at you. I would rather die. God, I think I'd scream like a little girl. Absolutely. I would start crying immediately. Tears would form. Brown stuff would be in my pants, and I would be in my car with Ash heading down the road. You'd be like banging on my apartment door like, Hannah, let me in. How did you get past the security door? Don't ask your questions, just let me in. I know. So some say he also has a pocket watch that he will glance at occasionally, and it's a gold, like, you can see the gold. Like that's, I'm like, out of this black. Why is he watching the time? Where does he have to be? So, some space... aside from leaving me the fuck alone. I knew this is where I was going to lose my shit with you.
So some speculate that he does it out of pure mockery,
Shut the fuck up.
suggesting to his victims that he has all the time in the world. Isn't that just utterly creepy, eerie, disgusting, like everything you can think of?
Oh my god. I don't even...
And some say, he's just checking the time. It's fine.
And again, where does he have to be?
Right, exactly. It's like, do you have another appointment to go to?
If you need to go visit somebody else, go ahead and leave early. I'm okay
my
with
guest.
my feelings will not be hurt. I assume you know where the door is because you found your way here.
So, I think I also forgot to mention, the Hat Man is very evil. If you haven't guessed by now by Hannah's reactions to some of this. Luckily, though, for those who do meet him, he doesn't inflict any physical harm.
No, psychological though.
I was going to say, what he does is actually more slow and insidious. He just watches you sleep. But while he does that, the Hat Man is said to let off this intense fear that you can feel. A fear that he's going to harm you, but he never touches you. But what he does do is create that fear and confusion inside you that he feeds off of it. And when he's not hovering over you, he's said to look at you through the mirror.
I specifically refuse to sleep with a mirror facing me at all. If it's on the other side of the room, but not directly in front of me and facing the wall, like that I'm on, okay, fine. But I will never sleep with a mirror anywhere that if I were to roll over or like sit up, I can directly see into it.
No, and I agree with you.
Plus, mirrors are said to be portals, or they can be used as portals to different dimensions or the other side, quote unquote. And then we also have the thing of like a scrying mirror, which we use as a form of divination to communicate with spirits. And you gaze into the mirror and allow the images to come to you.
That's why I do not like the 10-foot mirror that I have in my living room.
Yeah, I spent some time cleansing that.
It's literally bolted into the wall.
Yeah. I mean, it feels a lot better since I cleansed it and locked it.
It feels a lot better. 100%.
Okay. You know, it's probably a good thing I brought all this amethyst in.
Right?
You're talking about this.
Yeah. Yes. But when he's not staring at you through a mirror, which, quick little side note, some say that when he looks through the mirror, it's intensifying his gaze and allowing to have more fear inside of you so he can even feed faster.
Think of it as like almost magnetizing it.
Yeah, magnetizing.
Mirrors are thought to be powerful in some way or have some sort of power.
And when he's not looking through the mirror, you can usually find him sitting in a corner, just staring at you, just playing psychological mind games.
I can't wait to talk about my stories at the end of this because I feel like you might even need a refresher. Because
I will, because I know, because I was there every time.
My stories follow a lot of this.
Yeah, because you told me every single time it happened. Like, you called me or texted me. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I was there throughout the entire thing. But that was over 10 years ago when that happened. Mm-hmm. So I can't wait to hear it again. Mm-hmm. And once he's had his...
Once he's had his fill of terrifying innocent people.
When he has had his fill of yummy fear, as I would put it, he leaves. But not just evaporating or dissipating like a normal shadow person. He actually uses the door, either by walking through it or gliding through it.
Yes, he does.
Hinting at the fact that he has actual control in this world. Mm-hmm. Like, that is terrifying in and of itself. A literal shadow is doing that.
Well, in the middle of all of my experiences, one of our friends woke up in the middle of the night and was like in a daze and saw him like open and close my bedroom door, and like in the daze thought it was our very like tall and broad-shouldered friend, and also thought she was dreaming, and she just fell back asleep. And she told me about it like a month later, and I was like, "What? Why didn't you tell me this?" Like, that would have been pertinent to what I was trying to figure out was going on in the house.
If she gave you that information right away, you probably could have figured out it was the Hat Man.
Mm-hmm. Or just figured out more about what was going on, because we had our theories that... Well, we'll get into it. But.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to point out before we get into all of our question and answerings is, so one thing every paranormal investigator and anyone who has had an encounter with the Hat Man can agree on one thing, that he only comes around when people are in turmoil. Every recorded sighting of the Hat Man that has been seen in person has had a traumatic event happen recently or is currently at that time going through a traumatic event in their life. But that was something you didn't know.
Think about when that was going on.
I know. That's exactly what I thought.
Oh my God. Okay.
So, just a couple more quick things here of, like, who is the Hat Man? Is he an interdimensional being? Is he a demon? Is he the devil himself? One theory someone put out on there on the interwebs is the Hat Man is an astral projection of people who want to just terrorize other people without getting caught. Basically, using this awesome ability to basically just fuck with people.
So let's talk about astral projection for a second, because we haven't. Astral projection is a type of spiritual travel where you essentially project your being or your spirit out of your body, and you go and you visit different places on Earth or different dimensions. There are some people who just naturally do it while they sleep, and that's part of the reason why they don't sleep well, and they always wake up feeling exhausted. You can do it deliberately. You can do it by accident. There's a lot that can go into it. I don't think I've personally ever done it.
But I know you've tried.
I don't think I've tried. It's more like when I do meditations, I suddenly find myself, like, I feel like I'm floating above my body. If I'm, like, laying down and if I'm on the floor, like, my spirit is up here, just kind of hovering.
Oh, okay. So you're more having out-of-body experiences.
A little bit, and you could say that when you do meditations, like to go to a specific place to meet with your spirit guides or something like that, I think you could almost consider that astral projection, just depending on your beliefs, your viewpoints, and all of that. There's astral projection itself is a whole different topic that we could get into as well, but it's a very big one in the spiritualism, in the like spiritualist movements and communities that are around now. It's not a new thing by any means. On that topic, we could get into the flying ointment that old wise women or witches would make that were meant to help you go into trances while you're meditating, astral projecting, whatever. So...
And that's why I saved it for the end there, because I knew Hannah would know all about it, because I barely understood it when I was reading it. Like, I get the concept.
I'm certainly not an expert.
But you definitely know more than me. Like, you could describe it better. Like, I could say, when I read it, it was like, it's an out-of-body experience, but it's more than that. Like, I couldn't put it into words.
Yeah.
But I understand the concept.
Yeah, and I've had people come to me where, like, other mediums or psychics tell them that they astral project, but they don't go too into it. They kind of, they go through it, the basics and everything, but they'll come to me and be like, can you tell me about this? And so I tell them. They usually say that the medium or psychic may have suggested, like, stones for them to use, to help them with that, especially if they're doing it in their sleep unknowingly. And my go-to stones for that would be amethyst. If you're interested in continuing it but having more control over it, amethyst, obsidian, and maybe mookaite under your pillow. Mostly for, like, amethyst for the help with that connection, the obsidian for protection, and the mookaite for grounding. But yeah, anyway.
Hannah just spreading her knowledge.
I gotta do something with it.
And that's why we're here, Hannah. That's why we're here to spread our knowledge. We're here to learn to these people.
Learn to these people?
We're going to learn to these people.
Okay.
We're going to learn them a thing or two, but we're going to learn to them.
Learn to them. Got it.
You're going to learn to them like, yeah, I seen it. Okay? So on the topic of being unbiased, I did look into just a little bit of what doctors and, like, psychiatrists would say about this.
Okay.
So due to quite a few of these people's claims, when they do have an encounter with a shadow person, they do, a lot of these investigators will actually bring a psychiatrist on. Mm-hmm. And some people are just very open with this as well. They do have certain medical conditions, a lot of them being insomnia, which can cause a lot of hallucinations. Mm-hmm. And there's also people that have sleep paralysis too.
Yep.
And some that suffer from chronic night terrors or even mild night terrors. So with some of those having mental and a lot of physical issues, but a lot of more mental issues could be contributing to them seeing this and hearing the story and then projecting that out towards whether it being in a night terror or they're in the sleep paralysis, or they are just hallucinating because they just cannot sleep.
Yeah.
So, which I could see is very plausible as well, because I've seen some shit when I can't sleep as well, mm-hmm. but I've never seen a shadow person like that. The only time I've ever seen a shadow person is usually when I'm about to drift to sleep, but then I'm fully well aware of what's happening, and I kind of like, can you just, like, I'm trying to sleep. I don't sleep well anyway, so can you just kind of...
Can you just
go?
Leave,
just,
please.
Politely fuck off?
I guess thanks for the visit, but I need to sleep, and you're not helping.
The furthest thing from. Mm-hmm. I don't need no stick man walking across my wall.
Stick man.
They look like stick men to me. But like,
I suppose sometimes
very long, and like I said, Jack Skellington, long, lanky, they look like to me.
Okay.
The last thing I wanted to say on my experience is I see them will go in and out of my window, like through the window, which is really weird. Like,
stop it.
Like they come like around through the window, like they're like up against the wall on the outside.
And then they just like slither through.
And then they just slither through, like, I don't know how to explain it. So like this. So like on the outside of the wall.
Yeah.
And then they do one of these.
Oh.
Kind of come through, but not like shimmying. They kind of do one with their long legs.
They still step over the wall?
They step over the partition. They step over the separation. I don't like it.
Okay, so you know Adventure Time?
Yeah.
You know Prismo?
No. I don't like that. Hannah, that's exactly what it looks like, except black.
I know, when you were explaining that. So if anybody's familiar with Adventure Time, Prismo gives very much Shadow Person vibes, except for the fact that he's pink and as large as whatever room he's usually in, but...
I don't like that now. I'm going to dream that now. I'm going to dream of that pink skeleton-looking thing coming through my window exactly how I just described it. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the nightmare fuel.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've given me enough nightmare fuel.
That is so true.
So I think...
And even away from this.
Yes, that's true.
There's been over 10 years worth of this.
Just any day, you can leave it to me to either give you nightmare fuel or an existential crisis.
Usually leaning more towards the existential crisis.
Which, this nightmare fuel could fall into existential crisis, this particular nightmare fuel. Because why do they exist? And why do they exist where you exist?
I don't like that. Like, so far in my experience, shadow people are pretty cool. And they don't really, like, mess with me. I don't get too bad vibes off of them.
Save for the one that ran at you in your room while we were in high school. And I think that's the one that you started seeing him after I started telling you about seeing him.
No, I didn't have one run at me in high school. I ran out of my room once.
Oh.
There was one time where I woke up as soon as I passed through my door. I sat down on the ground in the kitchen. Somehow made it all the way to the kitchen, full sprint, but didn't realize I was sitting on the ground for like, I don't know how long. Mm-hmm. And I get up, and I don't hear it right away, but I can hear my dad like yelling to me, like, "What's wrong, Austin? What's going on?"
Yeah.
And I just told him, "Don't worry about it." Walk through my door again, and I don't remember anything. I don't remember closing my door. I don't remember going to bed or anything. But when I ran out, I don't remember getting up, running to the door, opening the door. None of that until I passed through. Still unexplained today. But what I did see was, a few weeks after what you were seeing, was a very tall, was the Hat Man, who we thought was great Grandpa Al.
Yeah, so for a certain amount of time, we thought my grandpa, who is Austin's great grandfather, he's always been around me and he's always messed with me and everything. And so there was a certain point where we thought that this was him just messing with me. But now, as we've gotten older and with the knowledge that we have now, we know it isn't. And in fact, I see him shaking his head and kind of chuckling right now because he thought it was funny that we thought it was him. Yeah, so I'm not going to tell all my shadow people stories right now because I have a lot. I'm going to tell you about this one that we keep referring to. How about on Patreon? We sit down and we record a little bit for talking about shadow people.
Yeah.
And everything. We can maybe do a little video or something even. But
we could definitely talk more in depth of...
Yeah, so on Patreon, I'll tell you about, like, the first time I saw one, and just some other experiences I've had with them. But these experiences that we've been referring to when we were in high school...
is particularly the Hat Man.
Yeah, I could say pretty certainly that he's the Hat Man now. So, to try to make it quick, I don't even know how long this was that I was seeing him. It was certainly over the course of months.
It was right at the end of high school for me, so it was 2012.
Yeah, and it was happening for months, maybe even a year. I couldn't
felt like
and
more
there was
years.
And there was other things that were going on too on top of this. So when I saw the Hat Man, the first time I saw him, he was standing at the end of my bed. This is when I said that I thought he was standing on the bed, but he was standing at the end of the bed, like kind of towering over it and looking down at me. Not a fan. The second time I saw him, it was late at night. I was on my laptop in the middle of the night, like you do when you're in high school, and I, just to give my eyes a break, kind of glanced over. And the direction I glanced was toward where the long side of my bed met the wall. My bed was in a corner. And I saw him sitting at the end of the bed, like leaning against the wall, but he was turned so he could face me. And I just got a glance of him, and when I looked away, I realized what I saw, and I looked back, and he was gone. The third time I saw him, I was trying to fall asleep. I had been up late. And do you ever, like, get those times where you're trying to fall asleep and you just, like, you feel like opening your eyes, but something's like, don't open your eyes?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
So that was kind of this. I don't know. I opened my eyes. He was standing directly over me. His head, his very large head and hat, maybe a foot away from my face. I jumped up, flung my arms around, and turned on all the lights in my room. The ceiling light, the lamps, everything. And I slept with lights on for weeks after that. Eventually, the last time I saw him in that home, he had returned to standing at the end of the bed, staring over me. Like, it's just a mind fuck. Like I said, we had a friend who saw him at one point. Coming through the door that was always closed, but the door was open and he was coming through it. Other things that happened in that house was that we had things mimicking our voices.
That is something I never experienced at your place there.
No.
But I know many people have.
It was me and my mom who experienced it the most. Or I suppose we each had like one pretty distinct experience with it. So she was the first one that experienced it. And it was during hayride season. I had worked late that night and I came home and I went straight downstairs to my bed, went to sleep. My parents' room was upstairs and we had like a split entry. My mom in the morning asked me what I wanted in the middle of the night. And I was like, what do you mean? And she told me I was standing outside the bedroom door going, Mom, wake up, Mom. In my voice.
Nope.
I was not doing that. When I experienced it, mimicking voices, I woke up in the middle of the night and I watched my bedroom door closing, which again, it was always closed. It's always closed now to this day. I watched it closing as if somebody was like closing it on their way out, and I heard my dad say something to me. I couldn't make it out, but I could tell it was him. And in the morning I got up and I was like, why were you in my room last night? And he was like, I wasn't. And specifically, my childhood dog was doing very rough this night. And he had been up all night with her upstairs, helping her and taking care of her. He had never once come downstairs.
Don't like that.
Yes, yeah. And in that house is when I started waking up at always specifically 3:37 in the morning. And when I watched my door close, I looked at the clock and it was 3:37 in the morning. If it wasn't 3:37, it was literally seconds before it ticked over to 3:37. And I still sometimes wake up at that specific time.
To this day.
It's not every night. It's very few and far in between, but it was almost every night when we were in that house.
Gross. Mm-hmm. No, thanks. I always dread that. Every time I wake up in the middle of the night, I always check my phone. I'm glad it's always inconsistent.
I just try not to look at this
That's
point.
Probably the safer...
And, I had, an analog clock, an alarm clock on my side table.
I remember that alarm clock very well.
Yep, and so the memory is always of that. Now, there's a time in my parents' house that they're in now, that I just moved out of, that I did wake up at 3:37 after something weird happened.
Was this when I was living there still, or?
No, this was before I moved out the first time.
Oh, okay. A while ago then.
Mm-hmm. And there wasn't a shadow person thing that happened. My mom has seen shadow people in that house. A whole other topic. We'll talk about that another time. But I woke up to the sound of what sounded like somebody throwing their full body weight against my wall right next to me. Again, my bed in the corner.
Your bed at your parents' house is on the corner of two concrete walls, Hannah.
No, remember where it was before I moved? It was on the other wall. So it was the unfinished basement on the other side of where the head of the bed was, and where the side of the bed was the outside wall. But it was not the part that was concrete.
Okay.
So it sounded like it came from inside. Outside, easily somebody could take a running leap and throw their body weight against the wall, but it sounded like it came from inside. I shot up straight in bed. And I was like, okay, maybe I hit my head or my knee on the wall. I'm not unknown to do that in my sleep.
Yeah.
I have woken up by just reaming my head in the wall super hard. It's not fun, and I don't know why it happens.
I have witnessed this. I hit my head.
Yep, yeah. So that's the thing. I looked to see if it was Maisie, my last dog, because she always slept in bed with me. I was like, okay, maybe she was kicking the wall, whatever. She was on the other side of me from the wall, and had been the whole night. I have no idea what it was, but I happened to look at the clock, and it was 3:37. So, yes, yeah.
I've had plenty of encounters, and I'm glad I've not had as many.
Have had as many?
Yes, thank you, as you have.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
the thing
sorry
is,
that you've gone through that.
With being a medium or being in tune with these things, even if you don't know that you are yet, on the other side, we look like white lights to the spirits, and it's like a moth to a flame for them. They are attracted to you. So whether they know why you appear that way to them or not, they're just generally attracted to you because you are somebody who can communicate with them and help them if they need help, things like that. So that's why a lot of times when mediums go into very heavily charged places, they get very overwhelmed because it's everything is grasping at them.
Oh, okay. That's a good way of putting it.
I had a medium years ago, and this was long before I accepted what I am. She told me out of a group of people, because I'd asked a question. I can't remember what the whole thing was that we were doing, but I had asked a question, and she goes, you're a medium too. And she explained the whole light thing to me, and she's like, even to me, I see you as a bright white light, and I'm attracted to you, and I want to come over there and touch you. She's like, I'm not going to. But she's like, I just feel this attraction toward you because of it. So, and things like this will look different for each and every medium as well. But yeah, so that's a whole thing. We have plenty of ghost stories of our own. Me more so than Austin, like he said.
Oh yeah.
Which we can definitely start sharing and everything. But
that should be Patreon.
Yeah, just once in a while sit down and talk about our ghost stories. Yeah, so I mean, you really did, like, kind of hit every point that was coming to my mind going through it with shadow people. But I do really want to take into consideration the fact that maybe shadow people are just a form of spirit and not necessarily their own whole thing in and of themselves. It's just another way that the spirit or ghost presents. Like, we have residual hauntings, we have physical manifestations, all of that. It takes a lot of power for spirits to manifest physically, so maybe in some cases that's the easiest way to do it, is an outline of themselves or just a humanoid kind of figure. I'm not saying I have the answers or anything. These are just kind of ideas.
No, yeah.
This is the way that I think about them. I don't think that shadow people in and of themselves are just like a single type of spirit. I think it is a way that spirits can manifest. So with that, you said sometimes they knock things over, you know, and everything. That gives kind of poltergeist feelings. There are some people who feel that they're guardian angels, and maybe they are their spirit guides or something like that, or they're a sign that their guides or whoever, depending on what people believe in, have sent them, like you said, to help guide them. So they know when they see this that they maybe either have to make a decision or something tough is going to come up, something like that.
I mean, I would agree with you 100% on that, because I was thinking interdimensional being of some kind, but the more I read, and
Which, when you think about it, ghosts, spirits are interdimensional beings. They could be.
Yeah, they could very well be an interdimensional being instead of maybe just another existential plane or something that just parallels up to ours.
Yeah, if you think about it, if it is a different plane, that's still essentially a different dimension in a sense.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you could classify a ghost as an interdimensional being. And yeah, whereas a shadow person could be classified as that as well. But my opinion got changed when I was reading about when they would knock stuff over or somewhat interact with people and everything, kind of like how ghosts will interact with people, whether it is they catch them on a recorder, whether they go past one of those
like sensors,
electro boy thingies.
Oh, yeah,
they're
electro boy thingies.
Electro boys, where they buzz when they walk past,
or when they have the like LED lights scattered across a wall, and you see the shadow of something moving when nobody's there. There's
but
all
what
sorts
gets
of things.
me is the some of them having piercing red eyes. Like
Now, and again, that brings me back to maybe this is a way that spirits or entities manifest versus them being their entirely own type of entity.
Okay. I can see that making sense.
Because usually, piercing red eyes, glowing red eyes, that is associated with evil or demonic type things. There's so many ways you could go with this.
There really is, and I would say a lot of people would go towards.
I've never seen them have eyes or anything like that.
No, very much featureless, like 100% a shadow.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Well, thank you for doing Shadow People.
I knew that was going to be
really
a fun one.
Yeah.
I liked that one. It really piqued the conversation that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Hannah. What did you bring to the table tonight?
So I brought a Minnesota true crime.
I love it.
Like I said, my friend Anne told me about it. She grew up close to this. So we're going to be talking about the murder of Toni Bachman, the disappearance and murder of Toni Bachman.
I don't think I've ever heard of this one.
Well, you were only about 3 when this happened.
Nice. All right.
I was about a month and a half old. And we lived not far. My parents lived not far from all of this. I was telling my mom about it the other day, and I was like, were you okay? And she looked it up, and she started remembering it. She was like, no, I was not.
Well, I can't wait to find out exactly why she wouldn't have been okay.
Yeah. So, in 1997... Toni lived on Stillwater Street in White Bear Lake Township with her husband Norman Bachman Jr. and his 3 sons. She worked for Hamlin University, and she was described as someone everyone liked with a great sense of humor and was always smiling and laughing. She also described herself online as humble, down to earth, and a bit stubborn, as well as having a love for computers and meeting friends online. From what I could tell, she was active on what's called tripod.com, which was a website meant to help build online communities in the 90s. And her username was Tick Angel.
Tick Angel.
I'm guessing like a click with a mouse. Maybe that was the play on it. Or like when
Angel?
you're typing. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
I can see that.
Her personal page is still up. So she had her personal page as well as one where she shared information about difficult pregnancies because that was a subject that was close to her heart. On her personal page, which she titled The Cave, she had a section that she called The Meat and Potatoes, which were blurbs, as she described them, about anything from her poetry, favorite music, quotes, what she liked to do in her spare time, all sorts of things. Toni and Norman's marriage was very troubled. She said in 1987 that he had strangled her, and in early 1997 she asked for a divorce, and Norman was not a fan of that.
Because now he could not control her anymore.
Yes, yep. So at this point, Toni was in a long-distance relationship with somebody that she had met online, and she had told her friends and family that she wanted to leave the marriage. The marriage was said to be strained due to multiple miscarriages and the loss of an infant son. But as we go through the story, I feel like it was more than that. I feel like Norman was just a shitty person.
Okay.
So, April 25th of 1997, which was a Wednesday, was the last time she was reported being seen at her residence. She was 38 at the time.
Oh.
Around this time, she had sent messages to her friends saying that her husband was threatening her, and one of the last messages she had sent told her friends that Norman was looking over her shoulder while she was typing and that she had to go. No one reported seeing or hearing from her after that, aside from her husband and the kids. When the kids were interviewed by police, they said that on Friday, April 27th, they had heard their dad and Toni fighting, but never saw her leave her room afterwards throughout that Saturday and Sunday. They also reported hearing her scream. Let's get into Norman's stories.
Yes, let's.
So initially, Norman had said that he and Toni had fought, and she locked herself in the bedroom. He didn't see her for the rest of the weekend. He said on Sunday evening he had gone to the store, and when he came home, she was gone.
Okay.
Later, his story changed a bit. He stated that Toni and him had gone to the drugstore together on Sunday, and shortly after returning home, she told him to take the kids to the grocery store. When they returned, she was gone and had left behind a goodbye note. He also said that on April 25th, she had called him from a blocked number.
Sure.
So, about a week later, Norman's story had changed again.
Of course, okay.
This time, he said that she had left during the night on Sunday, and when he got up on Monday morning, assumed she had gone to work. And he later called her work and found out that she hadn't shown up.
Oh, yes, because you're a very concerned husband.
So, throughout all of this as well, he gave contradicting statements about where she was prior to her disappearance to the police. She was not actually reported missing until May 12th by her co-workers. And Norman said he hadn't reported her missing because he assumed she had just left him. In May of 1997, the home on Stillwater Street was searched by authorities. They found a bloody sheet hidden in the master bedroom between the mattress and the bed frame. Inside the basement freezer, they found bloodstains, human tissue, and human fat.
What the fuck?
In September of that year, the DNA evidence was matched with Toni's DNA.
Shocker. Who could have saw that one coming?
So in August of 1997, just 4 months after Toni's disappearance, Norman was charged with a misdemeanor assault against his girlfriend. The victim stated that he had poked her at the chest very hard and grabbed her around the throat, and one of the young sons witnessed this and called 911. Norman did plead guilty to these charges.
Oh, he pled guilty? Mm-hmm. That's really surprising, actually.
And then in late 1997, Norman filed for bankruptcy and listed Toni's address as unknown on the forms. So just keep that one in the back of your head.
Okay.
So about a year later, in September 1998, Norman was arrested for sexually assaulting another girlfriend at knife point and threatened to kill her and himself. He went into prison for 7 years for this and had to register as a sex offender.
Good.
Investigators believed she had been killed, but the case ultimately went cold due to the lack of evidence. They had evidence, but it just wasn't nearly enough to bring Norman in for it.
Damn it.
In 2000, Toni's mother sued Norman for at least $50,000 in damages due to mental pain, discomfort, and the loss of companionship. I don't know how that suit ended, but Toni's mother passed away in 2008.
Oh.
In 2012, the case was reopened, and the home, which at this point was owned by a neighbor and unoccupied, was searched again. They searched the backyard using X-ray and broke through the concrete laid in the basement and found what they described as significant information.
Significant information?
I couldn't find what they found still.
That's all they said? I don't like this.
When talking about this with my friend, I think at one point she had read somewhere that they found brain matter in the basement.
What the fuck?
But like I said, I couldn't find a source. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm not saying that my friend is lying. She had done some research on this once she was older, because she was a kid when this happened. Mm-hmm. Around this time, when they did this search, the oldest son was questioned by authorities and told them that his dad had admitted the murder to him, but had also said that no one could ever prove it.
Cocky little son of a bitch.
The son also recalled Norman cleaning the basement with bleach after Toni's disappearance, and his father's car having a weird smell to it, which he later was able to identify as being the smell of a corpse after he had worked in a funeral home.
That's disturbing.
It is. In 2015, Norman was arrested with murder charges, and later his trial began. During his trial, Norman stated that during a fight, Toni had hit him and he grabbed her by the neck and strangled her. He stated that he kept her body in the home for a few days before dismembering her with a fillet knife and a handsaw.
Talk about gruesome. A handsaw ain't going through shit easily.
And a fillet knife. Yup.
Oh.
Yeah. So he also said that the body was still in the house when police first came to ask where she was.
No. In the basement? Mm-hmm. What the fuck?
I think he kept her body in the freezer, from what I put together reading all of this.
Okay.
For a few days.
I mean, smart, but what the fuck?
So after he cut her out, he put her body in 3 garbage bags, and a few days later drove to a location about 2 hours away to bury her in 3 different spots. He stated that while he pulled her body out of the garbage bags, he kept her head wrapped because he didn't want to look at her.
Bruh, that is so fucked up. Driving to 3 different places, burying her in 3 different locations.
Well, no, it was like 1 location, but like 3 distinct spots.
Okay. But still, 3 distinct spots, and then to keep her head covered? You did this.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stories of, you know, serial killers, murderers saying that they kept heads or faces covered because they either didn't want to look at them or they didn't want the victim looking at them.
God, I don't like the feeling that gives me.
No.
That's a oof. Okay.
And to no surprise, throughout his trial, he stayed very matter-of-fact and didn't show any emotion or remorse.
Shocker. The making of a serial killer we have here, folks.
So Toni's body has yet to be found, though the area Norman said she was buried has been searched multiple times.
So he lied?
He lied, or my guess is that maybe he didn't bury her very deep and wildlife got to her. Which is also awful. I hate absolutely everything about talking about this because I, of course, came across pictures of her while I was doing the research, and she just, like, had this very warm smile. She looked like the picture of what you would imagine if you're describing, like, a happy, kind mom figure, especially in the 90s and everything. Just, like, that's what she looked like. And her smile was so sweet. I don't do true crime often, so that was that came and slapped me in the face.
I was wondering what did that to you when you sent me the snap the other night.
Yeah. I read about this story, and I took 3 days before doing the notes because when I initially read about it, I almost started crying. I didn't realize exactly how awful all of this was. So before the sentencing, the judge asked Norman if he had anything to say, to which he responded, "It's been a hard time for me, hiding for years, carrying this around with me, the secret." Toni's brother said that it was as if Norman was acting like the victim, but obviously Toni is the victim here.
Well, no shit, Sherlock. This dude's a grade A piece of shit.
Yeah. The judge straight up told him, "You're a terrible person, and you deserve more time than what I'm going to give you today."
If I can give more, then you're a judge.
The other side of the families, lawyers and everything, and the family had accepted the plea deal and everything. So Norman was sentenced to 13 years in prison and was told that he could get a few years knocked off if he helped them find her body.
No, add more.
I know. Toni's family stated there was some relief with Norman being put behind bars, but they do agree with the judge that he deserves more time. It took 18 years before they tried and convicted Norman Bachman, but
18 whole years.
Yep.
Oh my God. That's real recent.
Yeah, like I said, it was 2015 when they arrested him and when his trial happened.
Doesn't say which prison he's in.
I didn't bother to look it up. I didn't really want to know.
My guess would be Oak Park Heights maximum.
Yeah, maybe.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that is the story of Toni Bachman and her disappearance and murder. It's very unfortunate, especially just in the community that it happened in. It's always been known to be a relatively happy and welcoming community.
Oh yeah, very. It's a very nice area.
Yeah.
Is the house still there?
I think it is.
Ooh.
Like I said, in 2012, it was owned by a neighbor and unoccupied, and he used it to, I think he said, work on like bicycles and like used it for storage and stuff. He was very cooperative with the police and everything. He was very down for everything that they wanted and needed to do.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't live in it, but I would do what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Working there during the day. It's just more storage.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I don't know if I could ever live in a murder house.
I don't know if I could either.
I just not even if there was like a haunting there.
But regardless, the energy is going to be very heavy.
Yeah, just the known fact that someone literally died.
And not even just died, but likely brutally died.
And then your mind starts racing of how brutal, and it's like, it's a whole set of other fucked upness.
It is. Yeah, so I did my best to put this in chronological order because not much of it was in chronological order anywhere.
That's why a lot of the stories.
Yeah, so that's why we kind of bounced around in the middle there about what was going on with Norman and all of that. But yeah, I will happily not do true crime for a while.
Yeah, you sent me a snap, or Hannah sent me a snap, and she's like, hats off to you. I don't know how you do it week after week.
And this was before I even sat down to do the notes. This was just after I had read through it the first time. Yeah, I think it was actually even a day or so after I read through it the first time. And it was still just reeling from it.
Right? It's tough. Like, it's a good thing I really like this stuff. Or I don't think I'd have the mental capacity at what I can do it in.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it's tough. So these last 2 weeks have been such more of like a weight lifted off. So it's been really nice to just been able to more joke around.
Yeah, exactly. And I told Austin if he wants to do more like mysteries, kind of like the Trump disappearance, or just kind of like bizarre, weird things, he's more than welcome to do so, because we obviously want his little brain to be okay.
I just have one half brain cell. He's doing his best.
I have a cemetery
fun fact.
Cemetery fun fact. It's not a fun one this time. This one's about umbrellas.
Okay.
Dropping an umbrella on the floor means there will be a murder in the house.
Hannah, is that open or closed? Please tell me, God, is it open or closed?
It doesn't say.
Son of a bitch. Because I dropped my umbrella yesterday.
Austin.
I don't know this stuff.
Hold on to your umbrellas.
I'm hoping it in like little subtext is open, not closed.
Nope. It just goes on to the next one.
Fuck.
That's it. That's all there was. It was just a single line.
All right. Well, if the show just abruptly ends, one of us died. It was a good run.
Maybe it doesn't necessarily mean that it's while you own the house.
Oh.
Because it was left very open-ended.
True. It was very open-ended. Well,
not that I'm saying I want somebody else to be murdered.
No.
I don't want anybody to be murdered, but
I don't want
just food for thought.
True.
Yeah. Well, I think that's episode 12. I'm going to have a lot to edit. All right, well, thank you for joining us for episode 12.
Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.
I think we'll be back on track for some more normalcy.
Yeah, I should be covering a true crime story, and
I should be doing something spooky or... I don't know yet. I haven't picked it, but we'll figure it out.
Same. I have yet to pick my next topic, so until next time, that is Future Austin and Future Hannah's Problem. We'll see you on episode 13.
Bye.
The Bleeding Grave is hosted by Hannah Slavic and Austin Winger.
Music by Hannah Slavic.
You can find us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
You can listen to The Bleeding Grave on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more.